Maamon Norfaiza P. Mansur Sitiaika M. Matli Moharman M. Mohammad Khalid K. Muharram Abdul Karim T. Najor Muhammad Shlaini Omar S. Ongke Joshua L. Pasil Hanaini K. Gwen Ben Aziz A. Raja Muda Anwar D. Rajan Wahab Q. Sahidullah Abdul Rahman A. Subuhon Orlin S. Sumbrana Charles S. Taburana Catherine Y.A. Taib Abdul Rahman A. Tandigo Shaira S. Over Yasmin A. Usman Amar Sharif G. Usman Razan U. Virai Jessamine Arkham H.
Supervisor Masgood, English Teacher, High School Department, for the introduction of the guest speaker.
My pleasant greetings to one and all. Today, I am truly honored and happy to be given the task of introducing our guest speaker for the 15th commencement exercises of our dearest institution, Filipino-Turkish Tolerance School. Just standing here once again in front of this crowd brings back the memories approximately 6 years ago during my graduation day, when I was also tasked to do the same thing of introducing guest speaker. I believe that I'm lucky enough to be given this opportunity as well, because we have something in common with this speaker who we are about to listen to in a little while. He is a native of Maluso, Basilan Province, born on the 23rd of June, 1986. He finished his elementary education as a first honorable mention at Zamboanga West Central School in the school year 1998-1999. He was a student of our very own school from 1999 to 2003 and graduated as the class salutatorian. He then obtained the degree of Bachelor of Science in Biology at Ateneo de Zamboanga University for college from 2003 to 2007 and graduated as magna cum laude and the lone receiver for the Islamic Theology Award. Our guest did not stop pursuing his career as he continued his medical aspirations, proceeding to the graduate school of Ateneo de Zamboanga School of Medicine from 2007 to 2011 and was ranked first and named as the best intern in internal medical rotation from 2009 to 2010. He continued his postgraduate education in the same institution, and his MPH research was cited on the ADSU SOM PAASCO Journal as well. Behind his well-decorated educational attainment, he also participated in some debate competitions, such as the Colonel Salipsip Debate Challenge, and ended up as a winner, and in the ADSU SOM Asian Parliamentary Debate Challenge 2009, which earned him the Best Speaker Award. Presently, he works as a moonlighter in public and private hospitals with the rank of Medical Officer 3 at Ipil Doctors Hospital. He is concurrently the acting head of Manukan Medicare Community Hospital. Ladies and gentlemen, without much ado, it is my honor and my pleasure to present to you my fellow alumnus of FETS, Dr. Nurhamir Ajijul.
Pressure naman. Pwede po kayo huminga. Assalamualaikum. Barely a month ago, while I was in the middle of very toxic and stressful hospital duty, I received a call from an unknown number. It's not really my habit to actually answer unfamiliar calls, so I was about to reject that call, but then I accidentally tapped on the response icon, which forced me to say hi, hello to the unknown caller. And he was asking for Dr. Nurhamir Ajijul, so I said, okay, speaking. Then he finally introduced himself as Adirali J. And at that point, I felt a wave of familiarity. A wave of familiarity, not of him, but of a place, a very special place that I once called home. One word came to mind, tolerance. And at that point, I'm glad I answered that call. That painful encounter, ladies and gentlemen, brought me here today in front of all of you. Parents, graduates, teachers and staff of the Filipino Turkish Tolerance School, my alma mater, good afternoon. You know, to be invited to this grand occasion is more than surreal. This is such a big honor, at the same time a big pressure on my part. The last time I stepped on this stage was 2 years ago, and it was when I received my master's degree from the Ateneo. And now again, I'm here, but for a different reason. So if you may, I would like to consider this as my grand official homecoming. You just don't know what you got me into, guys. Days leading to this occasion, I lost hours of sleep. I was consumed in both excitement and fear and was exhausted. And I got overwhelmed with anxiety. But I guess the one thing that truly bewildered me is this: what will I say and how will I address it? The only instruction was for me to inspire you. So what I did was, I casted my mind back to my own high school graduation day. That was 12 years ago. when to my great dismay, I not only cannot remember a single word the speaker said, but worse, I cannot even remember who the commencement speaker was. At that point, I told myself that won't happen today. That today, I will make sure that when your time comes to speak in front, you will not only remember me, but most importantly, you will remember my words. Now, at first, I thought of inspiring in the old school way, the type of following your dream, focusing hard, working hard, going for it. But I guess you already know that. We already know that. Now, I don't claim to hold on any authority. I'm only 28 years old, haven't really proven anything in my life. But if there's one thing that I would like to humbly emphasize on this occasion, it is the importance of validating our dreams and the value of continuously appraising our goals and ambitions in life. When I was in my last year of high school, very much to your position right now, I thought I had everything figured out. I thought I had everything covered. And I was so into the notion of following my dreams and chasing for that goal, achievements over achievements, dreaming big and so on. And then I realized I was not anymore happy. That somehow in my efforts to chase, in my efforts to actually follow and reach for those ambitions, my fundamentals of being are already getting compromised. I realized that somehow, in our efforts to do the things that we think we need to do for our dreams to manifest, we lose track of simply being us, and most especially of simply being happy. I guess what I'm really trying to say is, we are so keen of achieving the ends that we do not anymore enjoy the journey. And a lot of this is influenced by our ideas of the future and how it should be. Because our dreams, ladies and gentlemen, have almost become our realities. And oftentimes we do not anymore question if our journey is still worth it, if it's still worth our effort. Oftentimes, we tend to confuse ourselves within the hullabaloo of needs and wants, that we tend to disregard the wisdom presented by the present moments over that very elusive and unpredictable future. Now, don't get me wrong, I know that the whole point of education is for you to live up to your ambitions and aspirations in life. But please, as you do, always validate your dreams with nothing but reality and truth. First, it requires selfless assessment of what you truly want. And second, it demands genuine acceptance of what you can only achieve so far. Your dreams must always be in tune with your moment-to-moment realities. Although yes, it is commendable that at your age for you to decide your dreams early on. But remember, it is even wiser for you to know that no plan is ever perfect. That personal aspirations and situational realities must meet halfway. Is wisdom bestowed only to those who know and to those who understand the true meaning of success. Because you know what, success is not when you are already living your dream careers. Success is your ability to conform with what is without losing sight of what needs to be. Yes, again, it is true that climbing the academic ladder is reported into the corporate and professional world, but it's never always the rule. Why? Because social and economic realities can always prove otherwise. That is the reality. Parents, graduates, and this is the truth. Many things can actually happen along the way. Many things can happen along the way. And that is why, with vehement appeal, I can only respectfully demand that you please pay attention to your basic realities and please live your life by your moment-to-moment existence. It is your ability to consciously understand with gracious contentment your present state, whether it be a soaring success or a seeming failure. That is your measure of a man. It is how you face the adversaries of temptation and that urge to do more, that desire to dream big, and how you align those to what is only essential, that you will truly understand what it is you truly want and how to get there. You see, when I passed the medical licensure exam last 2013, I thought of entering into the residency program right away. Why? Because it's the trend and it seems like it's the only right thing to do. So I planned on entering into a 3-year residency program in internal medicine and ultimately specializing in infectious diseases. You see, I had a dream, there was a dream and I had a plan. But it wasn't the reality. Why? Because I am the breadwinner. And for me to pursue that line of thinking, that ambition at that point would not have been truthful to myself, to my family, and to the situation at hand. Because as someone in the family who is the first, actually the first to earn a degree, the first in the family who is actually the first to have a regular monthly salary, can you imagine that? I have to finance for my siblings who are still in school. I have to pay for a monthly meals, and I have to make sure that extra money is on the side for a day-to-day needs. And for me to work as a resident physician, in any hospital for that matter, be it public or private, cannot simply suffice these financial burdens. And that is why I found myself hopping from one hospital to the other. Just to give you a picture of how it is like to be me. I spent the first 15 days of every month working as an ER physician, going on a 24-hour duty, no rest, straight for 15 days. Right after, I hop on to another hospital, again going on a 24-hour duty for the next 15 to 16 days. So I literally go from one hospital to the other with practically no rest in between. And in my workplace, I don't get to specialize in infectious diseases. I get to be the pediatrician, /obstetrician, /surgeon, /gynecologist, /nutritionist even, psychiatrist even, all roles lumped into one. Buti pa nga ang kapit, may 3-in-1. Ako all-in-1. Akala nila siguro robot ako. As if these are not enough, because of my master's degree, they still expect me to handle hospital frameworks regarding public health. You see, this is not my gene and certainly nowhere in the plan, but this is the reality presented to me. I just have to deal with it. I could have I could have pursued my ambition head on, and if I did, you may have someone in front of you who is about to become a specialist in less than a year from now. Someone who is about to finish his residency program in less than a year from now. But if I did, I don't think that I would be any happier than how I feel today. And if I did, I don't think that I can still look my parents and siblings straight in the eyes and tell them I succeeded, because in reality I did not. Now, I might have succeeded professionally, career-wise, in the eyes of others, but I would have felt greatly as a son, as a brother, and as a person, and certainly not worth your time today. You see, the importance of gene validation is not only true for either familial or personal maturity. Its effect on a social scale further strengthens its claim. For example, for those who are about to take up law, just last month, we saw the latest bar exam passers, and we know that out of the 6,000 who took the exam, almost 6,000, only 1,129 made it. Prospectively, these new lawyers have been successful in so far as achieving their goals. Now, I did not study law, and don't get me wrong, but how many of these will truly uphold the true meaning of justice? But in this country, we know that law normally gets in the way of justice. You see, there is a clear linear disparity. We sometimes live ourselves with pride, seeing our children as successful lawyers. We sometimes live ourselves with pride, seeing ourselves as successful lawyers. But where is serious professional accountability? Nowhere. And simply because truth has not been validated, social, cultural, and historical realities have not been recognized. Doctors, and this I know, since I'm one. Medicine is one of the most, if not the most verified professions out there. But did you know that 60% of Filipinos, they actually die without seeing a doctor? And based on recent data, for every 1,429 Filipinos, there is only one doctor on average. However, in some cases, as in my case, for every 33,000 patients, there's only one doctor on average. Yes, one doctor, as in my case, can actually be responsible for up to 33,000 patients. And do you know why is that? Well, simply because your doctors have literally become out of reach and out of coverage area. Now, others would prefer to actually work in bigger hospitals. Others would prefer to work in bigger cities. While of course your consultants and your specialists, they would normally sadly service only those who can afford to pay the price of their titles. This you know, this is a sad reality. And just recently, and this is an interesting development because last year, the United States of A, they opened its door to more than 13,000 more positions. 13,000 more positions. This is actually seen by the Labor Department to actually trigger medical exodus of new doctors to the States. Now, if you are the parents, how proud would you be seeing your children working not as nurses, but as doctors in the United States of America, right? Or what would you feel if you are actually working as physicians in the United States of America? Tempting? Very much tempting, right? Successful? Well, maybe. Proud parents? Of course. But come think of it. We again see a mismatch of dreams and ambitions up against the basic realities and essence of the profession. And simply because we failed again to validate what a true successful doctor really means. You know, graduates, when I say you have to validate your dreams, you have to critically appraise your soon-to-be chosen careers, I do not mean for you to give up your ambitions. In fact, I go back to the basic and still emphasize on the value of perseverance, hard work, and of you being focused on what you want. But remember this, do not let your dreams control who you are or what you will be. Always be ahead of your ambitions. In time, you will come to realize that there is actually no steep road to success. You have to dance to the beat. In time, you will come to realize that there will be instances, circumstances, where you actually have to compromise your principles, where you actually have to bend a little, or else you will break. But as you do, never give up, never let go of your humanity. Because that is the only fine line that divides true healers from simple doctors. That is the only fine line that defines leaders from managers. And it's what makes your trusted social stewards more believable, more inspiring compared to your normal 8 to 5 corporate slaves. Graduates, parents, do not ever fall victim to the fear of what tomorrow might bring. And please never build your reality based on the concept of survival. You know what survival is? I'll tell you what survival is. Survival is when you wake up in the morning, eat your breakfast, go to your workplace, do your job, come home late at night, rest, do the same thing all over again the following day. It's a vicious cycle of monkey see, monkey do. No real sense of success, no real sense of achievement, no real sense of joy. Imagine yourselves having to do that for the next 20 to 30 years of your life. Can you even stomach that?